end of the year, but we're about to start the beginning of a new year. And part of tonight was about let's lay out what can we expect to happen in 2024. What do we hope to happen? What is in our business plan to make happen in the documentary, the movie, the movement? And so let's even hear from each of the guests, and it could even be repeated of what we've said before, but let's focus on what do we believe, want, hope to, or working for to happen next year. And you can focus on your own business area and then also what you hope to happen from this documentary. I'm going to start with, we have a new producer, Brian Nitto, and he is producer-director. He has taken over this project in the last few months. Amazing work, pro bono, just really sunk his whole mind, heart, body into it for the chance to do it. We will put him on a retainer next year. We will be working with investors, philanthropists. We are doing that now. We will put out a document in January of helping us find some investors and philanthropists. But Brian Nitto is in New Jersey, experienced with television and film. He will position us to present this to Netflix. So we have at least one place that we know it will be presented and what will be presented. The second landing spot is we are looking to produce episode 1 of a 3-part series in the first quarter. We have most of the recordings done. We will add some new recordings. And we will partner with Centenary University, the film school, to do some of that recording as well. So first quarter, we're looking to have episode 1. Many people have told us some documentaries take 5 years. Well, I'm still saying we're going to leverage the last 44 years of prep, and in 1 quarter we can produce. Anyone that wants to help us, we're putting the whole sequence, piecing stories together. We will be focusing on that in January. So that's the first thing I'm going to shout out as that is our target for next year. So let's just hear visions of what you want to happen, see happen, can imagine happening.
We're going to have a almost front page story next year. I don't know what it will be about. It will definitely have some connection with spirituality, but I think we're getting the team, we're getting the ideas, we're getting some solutions to a point where it needs to break way out in the public and have people say, oh, what is this? Let's take another look.
I'm big on getting this out in the news, and I absolutely believe there's no reason why we will not be picked up, first on local news and then across the country and then around the world. Others pick up on that. Joshua?
Yeah, when I was in seminary before a lot of this happened, the president of the seminary, who's well respected in science, said that we're going to see a paradigm shift in our lifetime on the magnitude of Galileo's. And it's going to happen in the realm of consciousness. Mental health. I think we could be the canaries in the coal mine, like Hillary says, that ushers in this new way of understanding the mind. And so we're talking about big ships changing the big system. They take a while to steer. I think we should do that, but it's going to take a while. I think with grassroots mental health organizations that start in your neighborhood, through the peer support movement, through media, through the creation of media, I think that's the way to start to change the paradigm now. And so I just took a course on Maya animation, which is what Disney uses to animate stuff. Like, we can really get these ideas out there in some powerful ways. So what we envision at Inspire Mind Mental Health is bringing neurodiversity gifts into the mental health clubhouses, into peer support specialist trainings, colleges, churches, and really changing the paradigm in that sort of way. And the peer support movement is where people with this lived experience can build medical insurance for coming alongside other people. And so we can create mental health church organizations, ministries where they're getting paid, they're self-sustained financially. And so Neurodiversity Gifts is already released as a paid training. And the next seed project that we started is called Aslan's Way, which is a Jesus-lit mystical mental health path, where we really fuse mystical wisdom that is ancient with cutting-edge psychology. So I think we could bring something like that into our local communities through a version of soteria houses, where people can find true meaning and purpose and community, and we can start to move towards a more ecosystemic model rather than this individualistic capitalist model. So that's what I envision for the future. Let's bring it.
Yes, I'm going to jump on the peer support because that we really do want to make an impact on that in New Jersey to get a peer respite in each county. But I'm going to connect it to another conference where I was hearing how the work shortage for mental health workers is not keeping pace with the need, and so now the people are saying, "What are we going to do? We're in trouble." And I'm sitting in the back saying, "Let's get peer support out there. Let's start employing them. They're there." It wasn't even brought into the conversation, so I want to bridge that. If there's concern over workforce for mental health workers, and we have peer support, which works even better in certain situations. I want to see that come alive and employ a whole lot of people with lived experience. And wow, what a great impact for younger people as well to help that. What else? What else do you want to see, hope to see, imagine?
Well, I want to just pull up on what you were just saying, Janet, and because what I want to see next year is, and I think as we start to bring these new centers, spaces, facilities, I hate to use the word, we have to find a new word for them, but into community, where I want to see at least one Story Living studio, which is a place where you can bring where we have so many different realms of support for individuals to discover their genius. And we say genie and us as in brackets. So because it's the genie of all of us. And we work very much with the fact that genius is really what we're trying to unlock. So what I would love to sort of just to finish this off is the fact that I don't think we want to talk about peer support, because I think that's old school. I think we want to talk about this new, amazing series of professionals who are going to design new professions, who are going to design new careers, who are going to design new ways of operating. I think that this is where we've got the incredible opportunity to be able to design a whole new series of, from individuals who have evolved from peer support into the new dynamic workforce, play force, force that's going to change the way that we approach best life for all.
New force. The new force. Others, what do you see? What do you want to see?
Can I step up and just say, building on what Josh was saying about a new paradigm, and even Hillary, I've read in the alternative blogs like Mad in America so much about peer support, but then I was always thinking to myself, why isn't anybody ever talking about like professionals that really know what they're doing, because they're working from an entirely different paradigm now. And so my vision for next year is to start to take a step towards doing developmental workshops to train people, to get them to understand what I'm doing from a new paradigm, and hopefully even to start training them in what I'm doing in a way that they can safely help people that they love. Or people can help themselves if they've been diagnosed, this sort of thing. And part of that workshop is in explaining how, as a society, we do move from paradigm to paradigm. And it's not necessarily that the old psychiatric paradigm is just wrong, garbage, it's a big mistake. No, there's a reason that it was there. There's a reason why it developed, and it still has gifts to give, our society. But that there is an evolution taking place, and an evolution of consciousness. So that's my goal for next year, and I'm hoping to create some sense of community around that, which I've never been particularly good at until now, full disclosure.
Oh.
You guys are my first community. Community's anonymous. I'm not so good with community.
John, when we first met, you said, I really don't play well with others in the sandbox.
I don't play well with others. I I'd take their toys, I'd break them.
And you've learned that this collaborative team stuff is not so bad. You
It
learned
can
that
work.
in New Jersey.
Provided there's alcohol, it can work.
We're gonna edit you. I'm gonna
No.
add another topic.
For
My
people with no sense of humor out there, that was a joke. Remember jokes? Jokes were something we did in the 90s.
Part of the
We
old
had jokes.
paradigm.
We did. We
Yeah.
did jokes.
2024, I envision a very close, solid collaborative with a law firm in New Jersey. I want a law firm to adopt us, one who has resources and passion about mental health law, psych rights, accountability, to adhere to the psychiatric rights that are there on the books to help us influence. I've been wishing that for many years. So I'm just going to put that out there that is established. We have a law firm, if not more, lining up to be our partner and help us write the script for the movie and influence the documentary. So that's very tangible. Look at that. Maja.
For 2024, what I envision is to partner with more psychiatric people, from therapists, psychologists, and also ketamine centers that we have in the Chicagoland area. What is happening is, after they have their ketamine experience, or if someone went to Costa Rica, they don't have to have ayahuasca experience. They don't have anyone that can walk them through that 3-month transition. So that's what I have been trying to partner with. So I've been reaching out to a lot of different practices about that, and also letting them know what I do, and from both a spiritual perspective and from a clinical perspective. If they have clients who have been depressed for a long time, or they are being diagnosed with bipolar or even possibly DID, to help them find a way to integrate so they can live on a day-to-day basis. This doesn't have to be a diagnosis that shuts you down and you can't function. This is actually a calling, and let's see what we can do about it. So that's what I'm envisioning for 2024, and kind of just partnering with more people about that.
Excellent. And I envision you flying into New Jersey to record you live and in person. So we'll look for that.
Janet,
yeah.
doesn't Centenary University have a PhD program?
We'll have to hook Maja up and see how we can get her over here into Centenary.
Yes, I would love to hear more about that. Thank you.
I'm going to repeat the things we said earlier. I am very, very clear, boots on the ground, keep working on influencing the 988 rollout. It will be in its second year next year. I want to have it headlined in New Jersey that we have clergy, somehow connected and clergy trained. I want to really build on, Joshua, what you're doing out in San Diego, and have more training and more awareness, prepare religious leaders. I want to see spiritual competency as part of the training. We're getting away with saying we do cultural competency, but I'm just not so sure how much of that is done, but definitely the spiritual competency. And I have a vision that one state hospital in New Jersey can start modeling the integration of holistic and spiritual tools in a similar way that some rehab organizations have, or they're just around. It's available. When I was in the hospital, I taught Tai Chi to my co-patients. Not hard, not expensive. There is a way to integrate on one hospital floor in the state of New Jersey. Any other visions? Visions, hopes, dreams for your own business, your own work, or for the documentary? We good to go? Jen, I vision that you do a podcast with Petros Lavanas, the president of the American Psychiatric Association.
Oh boy.
That's a great idea.
Dr. Chatlos, you have to train me for that one.
No.
Oh.
You the way you handled the podcast with me, seriously, we could get him to pay attention to something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I would definitely give him respect. Hopefully the fact that he's he's out there as a voice amongst other alternative seekers. It shows that there's hope for the APA right now. You know, the person in charge is willing to keep his ears open. So I think that's great.
You would be,
Jen,
you would be
you're
a
an
person.
amazing interviewer. You
Yes.
are an amazing
you.
interviewer, and
Yes,
you also do
you are.
your homework. And when you come into an interview, you have done your homework. You have done your research. You're coming in fully loaded with not assumptions or perspectives or judgments. You're coming in to seek to understand.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I think that's what all you need for that interview.
You're our Baba Wawa.
Practically, Dr. Chatlos, between you and I, we will put Jim's podcast in the vicinity of Petros and his executive assistant. So yeah, that just popped in my head. Why not? We can make that happen, and then maybe get on the news together.
Yeah.
We transform
Lovely.
and support. We do like to close on time. We have just 2 or 3 more minutes. Is there any closing statement, anything that anyone would like to say from being a part of this year-end business team? And maybe we'll even get you could say one word, a phrase. What was it like to be here, ending the year together? Josh, I'm going to have you go first.
Then I'm going to use 2 R's that were said back in the chat, and that's renaissance and rebirth. Come on, 2024. Bring on the renaissance and rebirth. So thanks for fostering that, Janet, and all of you guys.
Excellent. Hillary, what would you like to say of being part of this? We did a year-end together.
Cherishment. Feeling really cherished.
Excellent. Thank you. Jen?
I would just I was a little distracted by my cat jumping all over the place. So, are we doing a one-word thing?
No, it's up to you. Just how do you feel about being here? Year ends.
I just, I'm actually really excited. I feel like I wish I could do this full time. And this just fuels every part of me when I'm around people like all of you, because this is the vision that I had many, 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 many years back, when I thought that this would only honestly be arriving when I died. I didn't think it would happen in this lifetime. So I feel very, very thankful to each and every one of you.
I'll add on to that, Jen. I find that when I'm with this group, and I felt it at ISPS, I feel great. I am trying to find a word for it, but it is friendship. But it's more than friendship. It's a commitment. It's a passion. It's an excitement. I look forward to it. I am just grateful. There's my word.
Yes.
Grateful to each one of you and the part you've put into this.
We've come a long way, Dr. Calvin, since January.
It's been an exciting journey.
Thank you. Sean, did you get to say something?
I'll go with turbocharged. All you guys, it's the same. I think, Jen, you used the word fueled. You guys fuel my fire.
Who's
And,
this Marlena Kolachenska sending us messages?
She's
And I
calling
hope
us the
you
dream
guys-
team. I love it.
I love
He's a
it.
wonderful artist.
Yeah, and I
Come
hope
and
you
join
get to
us.
New Jersey again.
Marlena is a speaker tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So she will be on with a number of others: Sarah Velez, Brett Warshevsky, Laura Lee Scott. So we have a whole crew tomorrow, but Marlena will be on tomorrow. Yes. So thank you,
As the
Marlena.
newest member,
What's that?
I said, as the newest member, I feel connected. I feel like I found a village. Like I found home. I do. I really do. And I feel grateful. I really do.
I am blessed. I can use all of your words. I have been reignited maybe similar, Calvin, all of us. Working at home by myself, I start to fall asleep on myself. And I'm like, I'm charged again. Thank you. We will do something in the first quarter and invite other team members to speak, but you'll get the recording of this and you'll get tomorrow's recording so you meet the other team members. Thank you for the audience who has stepped in here and visited with us. And we'll see you soon. Blessings. Thank you.
Blessings, you guys. Much love.
Until next time.
All right.
Bye, guys. See you.
We're really only a week and a half, a few days away to welcoming 2024. What do each of us want to see? What do we imagine we can impact in our own local area, impact on a larger scale? What do we want to see happen with the documentary? Mainstream awareness. So I'd like to start there with anyone that has a beginning inspiration. What do we want to see happen in 2024? Marlena?
Yeah. So I would say on a personal level, I'm hoping to get involved with the college that I went to, the College of Charleston, and hopefully open or start a peer support kind of oriented service. I was pretty dissatisfied by our college's counseling services. When I went to them multiple times, they turned me away and said, we don't know how to help you, and that's not really what you want to hear, it makes you feel more broken. And there's a lot of power in peer support and peer advocacy. So I think, trying to see what we can do on our local colleges, like you were saying, branch out, try to see what we can do in terms of peer support and people with lived experience, stepping up to be the voices of, helping others with their own lived experience, which is a difficult task, by all means. But, I think that would be a really good focus point, is focusing on colleges where, a lot of students do struggle with mental health, and a lot of big reason for them to drop out of college is mental health, so education focus would be a really good place to start. And also, I think just in terms of our documentary, looking at making sure that, what we're doing is in solidarity and not in charity. That's a big, I guess, kind of hairy boundary sometimes, that, we can do work that is helping other people or seeming to help other people. We just want to make sure it's not charity, right? And it's actually in solidarity. And I think we are doing that, right? But it's just something to keep, at the forefront, I would think. Because it can happen too easily, to go back into a kind of charity model. Yeah, that's all I have to say for now. But yeah.
For this moment, but you get to come back. I want to applaud you for caring about reaching out to your local college. You have a lot of support on this team to assist in that. My background is college student development. I love the college campus. And we now have some other colleges, my alma mater, the College of New Jersey. We have Rutgers University, and now we have Centenary, to maybe add some support to, we're doing it. We're working on that area to help you do that. And then I think that links also to the area we'd like you to expand on, focusing on the 20-somethings, the younger group who is going through that personal growth stage, but also might be subject to some mental health challenges, and how we can prevent them from getting caught up in the negative part of the mental health system. So we have lots of work to do, Marlena.
We do.
Sarah, I know you do have a few more minutes before you go, so I'm going to bring back to you when you have to go at 2. What do you envision for next year? What are you hoping for? What's the impact you want to see us catapult, move, manifest?
Yeah, I mean, I think a big piece is just continuing to collaborate, to get the word out, to get funders, to really find people that believe in this and want to invest in realistic ways. Whether I loved how Brett was saying, the spiritual philanthropy, that piece of, maybe we don't have deep pockets, but that piece of just giving of ourselves, but aligning with people that can really bring this docuseries to creation, to existence, and making bigger, really policy change. The 988, which I don't know if we've touched on, but that's a kind of coalition to really bring more support to people in mental health crises. And so that's an important thing. So really just more of the structural kind of policy change, getting into the hospital systems, getting into the treatment centers, really kind of making the spiritual piece more of a standard of care in really across the country, globally, of course, but we're starting here in New Jersey, and there's a lot of movement, and I think there's a lot of, openness to that at this point. So that's something to really be focused on, and then just continuing to highlight all of the, alternative modalities of therapy and ways that people heal. It's not a linear thing. It's a very holistic approach. So that's very exciting to me.
You touched on a number of pieces. I know Brett will go next, but just to emphasize, we are absolutely looking to propose to the New Jersey governor a new standard of care. We have a number of psychiatrists working on a standard of care for mental health, so that if people are escorted into the hospital system, there is an awareness of a more holistic approach and the spiritual competency required. So that is a very specific task that we're looking to implement. And kind of tag teaming on that, in the documentary, we're going to be highlighting alternative support systems so that it's not always a hospital. There are peer respites, as well as many other things that we're going to be introducing. So we're partnering with CSPNJ, Collaborative Support Services Programs of New Jersey, where we're informing our clergy and our audience that there are peer respites and most people don't know about them. And so we want to get on the news and really make it more clear to families, friends, that these things exist. So thank you, Sarah. If I say officially goodbye, I know you have to leave, but thank you for being here.
Yeah,
Brett,
thank you
you
all.
wanted to go.
I was just hoping to catch Sarah as well before she left, so this perfect timing. I think she has a couple minutes. There's so many pieces to tie together. What I wanted to say is that I'm from New Jersey, so this idea of local, and I've been working global for the last 12 years. It wasn't only a few months ago that I hadn't been in the States for 5 years. So the docuseries I'm working on, one of the taglines is a personal story in service to a collective journey. So for me, I very much see things through the lens of the hero's journey. And the final stage of the hero's journey is when you come home to your community with the elixir, what the wisdom is, what is the gem that you're giving back to the community that you've gone through all those challenges for. So for me, Sarah, to hear you being in New Jersey and John and Reverend Tim and Janet, for me, again, on the instinctual level, on the level of patterns and watching things, is incredible for me to think I could come home to New Jersey and have this base of activists and heart-based people with all these skills, which I don't normally have a lot of friends because I've been traveling so much. So there's something very important for me in this homecoming, in this local thing, despite all this global work I do. And just to show you the synchronicities and things, like I went to school at UMDMJ and I did a year-long internship at CSPNJ. So part of my docuseries is documenting how I went through all that. I went back to school for this, and I actually did an internship. And at my internship, I did a program for a year called the Happiness Agenda. And you have Centenary, which has the happiness degree, right? So part of my docuseries has that personal like narrative where we're not just covering like people doing interviews about their experience. This is again where we're talking about documenting the multiple different disciplines and ways of healing. Like documenting me going and riding on a horse, right? As someone myself still integrating this experience even 30 years later to make the point that I didn't really receive the community support like right away, like we're trying to create. So I'm literally going to take my own medicine and document actual processes. Like when we meet Reverend Dr. Cody, or I want to actually film this stuff too. So we're literally covering the story of that. And the final piece I'll say is, for 2024, what I want to manifest is a new version of the Soteria House. Hillary and I work on something called the Story Living Studio. So as a way to demonstrate and have this beacon, it's like the Central New Jersey version of what we do at Centenary. Like, let's have a home that's actually this new kind of Soteria House that I live at, and I welcome in people as part of the docuseries to help them with their spiritual emergence and emergency as part of the documentary, and we can call people together at this place. So for me, that would be the greatest part of the documentary, and having that supported by philanthropists straight out. And in the screenplay I wrote, there's a big concert with John Bon Jovi and Bruce Springsteen and all the New Jersey musicians. So for me, I'd like to see a small version like the Count Basie Theater, to have an event there next Christmas that attracts all the resources we need for the next 10 years. So like, how do we get to that point? That would be my highest excitement. That's also doable. Like, really doable. Oh, one more thing. I'm so sorry. The evolutionary and spiritual philanthropy, Sarah, means there's many different ways to give. So there may be people that have cars they're not using or vacation homes. So for me, I don't always need to get paid, but right now I'm so dedicated, I don't have a great income. And if I come back to New Jersey, it's like I don't have a place to live. I don't want to try to get a job making 10 grand a year. So maybe there's ways to move resources around. Like you said, people have many different things to offer. It's not always money. There's different ways to support something. And that's something I want to look into with all of us and have that ethos. Everyone's contributing to the docuseries in that way, in whatever way they can. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Space there.
So I'm going to bridge and invite other people to comment. Story Living Studios has been part of the vision for the documentary and for reality. Our producer, Another Progress, and where we're going, we have a new producer director, Brian Nitto, and he's working with us behind the scenes. We are looking to, in first quarter, to have the first episode done. It's going to be a huge task. This is going to be a major focus to piece a lot of the story together and recordings, but we're in good shape to do that in focus. But he also has connections into Netflix. So there's a real landing spot where he gets to present this to Netflix. So that's a great vision, reality that could be. We also have the Fort Monmouth in New Jersey. It looks like it's a complete deal. Always have to check, but Netflix apparently bought a major property in New Jersey. And it looks like they're bringing, the original film industry back here in New Jersey. So it just looks like there could be a great opportunity over the years for us to be connected there. So I would definitely like to see some progress on that end. Others, we're on that place called What Do You Want to See in Your Local or Global Community? In your work, in your mission, in your degrees, in this documentary, what would you like to see? What do you hope for? Who else has a picture? Yes, Laura.
Yeah, so I just want to piggyback off of something that Brett mentioned about documentation. Very interestingly, when I started going through the first stages officially of what I was able to intuit was a spiritual awakening, and it was the murky, oceanic, very discombobulating dark night of the soul experience, classic dark night of the soul that a lot of people have had throughout history, but typically they are the people who are become the monks and the nuns and the people who can leave society and that kind of thing. I was told to document everything that I did. So literally have been taking, you know, just a ton of notes, journaling like crazy, and you know, photographs and video, taking video and even audio recordings, not of like some of the arguments that I've had with family members, not necessarily to blame or shame them, but to listen to how I was escalating and causing more damage than I was, you know, actually talking my way toward their a deeper level of their understanding. So it's been really fascinating to be able to start back in 2007 with this documentation and see the progress that I've made throughout the years. And truly, without question, the toughest thing of all has been in trying to turn their perceptions and the perspectives of family members who have been so heavily indoctrinated into this archaic and really just deeply misunderstood paradigm. You know, so I'm grateful that Brett brought that up, and I do encourage everyone here to document everything that you're going through, because it adds validity. You know, when you have an idea, it's an idea, but when you put it on paper, you know, that idea becomes your personal intellectual property, right? And it's also, so it's beautiful that way, but it also shows that progress, which is so incredibly important to demonstrate. And then the other thing that I would just add real quick, if I could, is on in response to Janet's question about what I'd like to see globally as well as locally, is for us to turn to documents that are liberating, equalizing, and really unifying, like the UN's UDHR document, which is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Also the WHO's what is it called? The Equality Rights Toolkit. These are the kind of documents that I believe all people from every walk of life should be familiarizing themselves with. You know, whether or not you are in the mental health care industry itself or not, but rather than leaning on these constructed labels and this formulated umbrella kind of experience, you know, of bipolarity, which basically has everything but the kitchen sink thrown under it. You know, it does not look at physical conditions. It doesn't look at, you know, different things like your diet and thyroid issues and all of that, your exercise level, etc. But instead of looking to the DSM, looking to documents like that, you know, where we are really understanding our inalienable rights. And I know for a fact that that is a God-given experience, that God wants to liberate us and equalize us. And God has us on a trajectory of evolution that includes everyone. And as Brett was speaking, I was thinking also about the fact that I've worked so much with our houseless population. And I know that there's been a lot of work at Rutgers in defining the difference between psychosis and what a spiritual awakening would entail. And I've read quite a bit of that research. Thank you, Janet, for sending that to me. It's a fantastic start. It's a door opener. But to me, it falls very, very short because it's not inclusive. And what it does, it sets us up for judging others in a horrific way that can absolutely stigmatize and continue to thwart the spiritual progress for thousands, if not millions of people. Because dear God, you know, we're talking about people, like our houseless population is enormous here in the United States. You know, this problem of being houseless, of being on different types of, drugs that are so debilitating, but using them for escape. You know, if you talk to these people, they're voice hearers. They are people who are dealing with what they know to be, you know, I mean, I'm just going to say it straight out, like evil forces, you know, a demonic kind of presence. And when you start talking to them in ways that encourage and uplift and edify and tell them that they are worthy of love, worthy of dignity, worthy of integrity, you know, worthy of honor, and that they deserve a quality life just as equally as, you know, to anyone else on this planet, and you start to build that into them, they respond so immediately, and we've literally helped people get
Mhm.
off the street, from truly being at death's door, to absolutely changing their life around, and to being able to participate in social programs and just these beautiful programs of recovery that are just so full of hope. And so, to try to separate these groups out and try to figure out who's having a legitimate spiritual experience and who's not is, I think, a very dangerous road. And so I hope that we will really think long and hard before we continue to do that, because we need to be as inclusive as possible here.
I'm going to bridge from what you just said there into what's going to be the difference in our documentary. We're going to be looking at all sides of issues. We're going to be sorting a lot of topics. And you did say it. The point that Rutgers made for many of us is that it was a game changer that psychiatrists are even talking about the spiritual pie. And I just like to keep endorsing and supporting what's the good news, that it's actually out and that it's even being introduced. What we do with that and how we address it in the documentary, will definitely be more on the order of where you're going on that. I know Colleen would like to say something, which we would love to hear. So yes, please, Colleen.
Sure, thank you. So one of the things, Laura, that you made me think of is one of the focuses of my research is really looking at challenging the notion that people who disagree with their pathological label lack insight or in denial if they don't agree, right? So I think one of the most important things for me to sort of get across through the use of this docuseries is that there's something to be said for honoring somebody's inherent wisdom, right? And what they believe their experience to be. And oftentimes, some people do know what they're going through and understand it to be spiritual. They have the requisite knowledge, right? For others, they may not, and it may be completely overwhelming and terrifying. But if they're given permission to speak honestly about their experience, more often than not, there's a spiritual component there, right? That maybe often doesn't get spoken about because they don't feel that they're in a safe place to express that. Where if they do, they'll get shut down and be told, oh no, that's psychosis, right? Because a lot of the times, because there is no spiritual competency within the mental health system, and there is no spiritual framework for understanding these experiences, if you go into a hospital saying having a spiritual experience, more often than not, they're going to translate that as being psychosis, right? So I think it's really important to understand that people do have some inkling, some wisdom, some intuition of what's occurring for them.
I want to bridge on that too. There's so much information and shared knowledge behind the scenes amongst practitioners and experiencers. It's just not out in the mainstream news. And I see absolutely no reason this won't be out in mainstream news, at least locally. We do have an intention with some of the colleges to get that support, that at least academia can start helping us get that out, but also through clergy and other mental health organizations for us to bring out some of the facts on chemical imbalance that has been out since the year 2000, and the research pieces that Laura mentioned. And there's another one, Jim Gottstein's team, improving patient outcomes. It's another one. We have a number of very recent documents that they can be news for mainstream viewers. And I see that next year. I absolutely do. I see no reason why we won't have that. I would love to hear from, John, if you would. What do you see? Having watched this now for a few years, what do you want to see happen next year?
It's not the only thing I want to see happen, but I want to say this, and then I need to leave, so okay. I will be saying my goodbyes.
Okay.
One thing that hasn't come up much in this conversation, because there's been a lot of focus, as appropriate, on our legal challenges and also on the documentary and things like that. Legal challenges and the systemic challenges that everybody's working on. When it's time, when the Holy Spirit moves and it's time for the movie, one of the things that some of you may not be aware of if you haven't seen the script or know enough about Janet's story is that it's a going to be it has a lot of humor in it.
Mm.
Because Janet, because she was so aware of what was going on, she knew how to handle the people in the institution so she could get out in time for Christmas. And it has it's a very winsome. There are very winsome scenes that will come up. So it's not some sort of diatribe about you people don't understand and you need to get it straight. It will be a story that people can relate to more easily, and even if they haven't had a traumatic spiritual experience and things like that. So doesn't have to happen in 24. I'm just saying I'm looking forward to that element as we talk about all of these things that will raise awareness in the world, and that will be I don't know how, it might be a comedy drama. I don't know.
I'm glad you raised that just to make me laugh, because many people did not have a pleasant experience, in the hospital, nor was mine, but there are some pretty humorous scenarios. You can't make it up. The patients call me a spy. They say, "You're not one of us. You don't belong here." But it was all the patients who knew that, not the doctors. And then, I was getting so many calls on the hallway floor. The patients say, "Janet's office," I'll get her in a minute, Janet's office, and they saw me with the board and, whatever. So, yeah, there's going to be some reality, funny stuff. And, maybe it's not funny, but it could be.
Well, it's the incongruity of it, because we have the images we have are One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and that from all of the movies, and the fact that it's real and that you were that aware doesn't fit the people's mental conception of what happens in these situations.
Yes, and people might have heard it, but I'm going to say it because it's part of, and I know many people, we've seen our medical reports, and it's ridiculous. Like, there's silly stuff in those medical reports. Two of them that come to mind is my medical report from 2005 said I have delusions of grandeur, thinking I'm connected to Wall Street. And I'm telling them, I was just on Wall Street presenting. Sure you are, And it's also written in my medical report, right? Written in my medical report, delusions. She thinks she's going to make a movie. Because they kept saying, "Why are you here? Why are you here?" I said, "I don't know. I'm going to make a movie." And that was written in my report. So, thank you, though. That's I do want to bring out, some of the things that can just make us laugh because they're so ridiculous. And there's such patterns, lacks insight. We probably all got that written. And here we are, law degrees, masters, PhDs, with lacking insight. So, in our last few minutes, Nadine, I'm gonna just help kick it off. What I picture. Bye-bye, John. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nadine, early on, and I hope that it's still the vision, but there was a time you said, "What are you doing in February? I'm going to take a flight from the UK to New Jersey because it's something so important here." So we did move that to August, but could you comment on that? Because that's a reality, and whenever you know that you're flying here, we're going to get a number of other people to this location based on it. So tell me what that vision or landing spot or reality is in your mind.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned February initially just because that's my birthday and I wanted to be somewhere that's not as cold as it is here, and to just push forward this agenda that we need to get this conversation had, and the stories that need to be shared need to be told, I feel, quickly, because not that we're running out of time, but for so long we've just been carrying on with the rhetoric of the fact that when you go into a mental health institution, you're medicated without your consent, and either it results in a negative outcome, or if you're lucky, you're okay. But we can't continue with this because there are millions of people across the world who are being medicated against their will, and we're talking about it. Change needs to happen. So for me to go and fly and obviously present and talk to you, I'd love to be there tomorrow if I could. But I'm still studying. I've got my exams to complete. So we pushed it to August because my exams are finishing in July. Otherwise, I would love to be there sooner. But yeah, I just feel this urgency that we don't really have this time to keep talking. We need to take action. And it's my impatience as well, because, obviously I've lost my father. I've got a family member who's still struggling with their health, and it's not looking good. And I just keep seeing there's so many stories of people struggling out there, and we just need to do something. Yeah.
Yes. So thank you for that vision and that immediate landing spot. But announcement. We are recording in first quarter, but we'll do a very dedicated recording in August, and hopefully have the funds to fly other people in as well. So I'm gonna add and seed this. We are very clearly focusing on investors and philanthropy donations now. More than likely, we are starting our own foundation, but we might partner with a nonprofit who wants to be like our sister organization to take donations, because some people have indicated they'd like to donate a sum of money for the documentary. But that's our reach now, because obviously you need funds for to produce the level that we want to, and we are definitely looking to produce 3 episodes. The target we're looking for is $75,000 for the documentary. The movie has been scoped out to be $10 million. We are looking at some celebrity endorsements in New Jersey, and hope to be really getting into those conversations in the next few weeks to into the first month. But it always helps to have the rest of us passing it on and reaching out, because that just is a reality of this project, to get some deep pocket endorsements and support. So I believe that's going to happen. I see no reason why we won't to get that. So last thoughts on what do you want to see happen from our audience, if there are any questions about the project. That there is a plan and a process that keeps evolving. Hillary, you used the term emergent strategy. That's a real thing. So an emergent strategy is emerging as we go, but we do have a structure that we emerge from. In January, we'll put out a little bit more definitive plans so that people can see some of the structure. So any final parting thoughts of visions, questions? Yes,
Yeah, so I just thought of, kind of thinking about sort of the younger generation, and, I was thinking about colleges, right? That's a big place for the younger generation to have a mental health crisis unfold, but, it can happen to anyone, anywhere, right? And I think about where's a big place that a lot of young people congregate and find healing through alternative methods is actually music festivals or like art festivals. And these festivals are often like kind of experimental little cities for a little bit, and I find those to be very interesting because they operate outside of the paradigms of our world. They're kind of within it, right, obviously, but they're creating a new like little experimental pop-up city for a little bit, and they even have their own support services with peer support, especially like psychedelic integration and peer support. And I would think that that would be a good point of interest to cover is, how are these festival communities handling, people in crisis, because a lot of people do have crises out there, at the festival, because they go there to have an experience in various different forms and methods, right? And a lot of people have very overwhelming experiences that they don't know what to do with, especially once they leave this festival environment and they go back to the real world, and we are faced with the modern day mental health system. There's a lot of like a weird dichotomy there of, you find this within this community, but then it's over and it's done with, and then, what next? So I think that would be a very interesting, kind of social factor to look into, and just bringing in the voices of people who are currently still going through it. What do they need? What do they want? What do they want to see happen? Especially people who might have religious or spiritual or even like cult-related trauma. So we're talking about the positive aspects, and ultimately there are some traumatizing aspects from different religious components, right? So I think that would be interesting to talk about as well. I don't know if that will happen necessarily in 2024, but just in the future.
It's on the agenda, and especially since you gave voice to it, all that connected to us looking at that 20-something population in the college, and then connected, I'm sure Brett will be chiming in on, if we start thinking about the impact of festival, if we do something in New Jersey, and all those pieces you said. So I think you just shone the light on an important topic. So thank you. I'm going to still invite any other comments of what you hope to see, but also, and so we'll have Brett go next. But then I'd just like to have a closing comment of what was it like for you to be a speaker here? How did that, what was the impact on you from sitting in your own home, in your own location, working on your own, to being a part of this? So that's how we'll close. So Brett, you want to, Rachel?
I just wanted to kind of put on the record, for the sake of sharing intentions and being clear, that I'm very interested and excited about connecting with the younger generation. So Marlene, I really want us in the new year to figure out how I can be a part of that solution and supporting you. And I would like to say, I would love to figure out how I end up on college campuses, sharing my story in relation to the work we're doing, in relation to building a presence. So for example, one of the reasons I'm into benefit concerts and philanthropy and activism, so for my generation, there was something called the Free Tibet Festivals in the 90s that the Beastie Boys sponsored, and they brought light to the Tibetan cause. And what they did through doing these festivals is they basically helped fund and establish Students for a Free Tibet on almost all the campuses in America. So just take that nugget, put it in your back pocket, and let's make that part of, I would love to just be in service to that. I also think it's because I have a young heart. I feel really connected to 20-year-olds and teenagers. Is a big part of me that maybe is even stunted, right? Because of my experience, but for some reason I feel really strongly that I'd like to be a part of that. So I'm really excited. And then covering that for the docuseries, again, it's another avenue and way in. To me, that's part of what we're filming, on campus, live, and with some artivism, with some activism. Let's not just stand still and wait to be invited to give a keynote speech. Let's go on campus and hold our own pop-up thing with a loudspeaker and start rabble-rousing a little bit in a fun way, So I would be into that, as being part of what we document. That would be a lot of fun. And I want to go on record. I want everyone to hold me accountable to that. That's why I'm sharing out loud.
It is logged in here, Brett. You too.
Yeah. I want to be accountable to that.
Tell me how your conversation goes as you move that forward. I'm watching Colleen smile with recognition. Do you want to go next? Comment on that, and then also what it was like for you to be here in this live event.
Yeah, just wanted to say I was at the Tibetan Freedom concert, and it was awesome. So that resonated with me. But yeah, the cause was profound. So if you could sort of start something along those lines, that would be really amazing. Yeah, no, it was really nice being part of today's discussion. I'm just really excited by all the different viewpoints that we hold and the commonality and the vision that we share.
Good. So a little bit of a touch of us visiting together at ISPS, but virtually. So, the sense of inclusion and hearing other voices. So, yes, thank you, Colleen. Laura, do you want to comment on what is it like? I know you lead so many efforts out by, somewhat on your own, and always love to have you back in the team here. What was it like for you? How does this support you?
Well, it's been really soul nourishing. Definitely, this is, as all of you know, this spiritual awakening journey is extremely solitary. And it has to be, and it just has to be by its inherent kind of most intrinsic quality is going inward. So you got to shut down from the world, and you've got to, really block out that daily hamster wheel kind of experience and prioritize that inward journey. And doing that inner work, there could be nothing more important. But it's also really daunting, and it can be terrifying. And you face a lot of things that you don't like about yourself along the way, and that's not easy. So it's beautiful to be with other people who understand that this ascension process is absolutely necessary for our evolutionary journey as human beings. I do believe that we're all headed on the same trajectory of life that is meant to be never ending, that we are all students here in a vast and complex school of life, and that frankly, regardless of our backgrounds, regardless of our belief system, regardless of our cultural indoctrination, I think we're each been given a few pieces of a giant puzzle, and that's to keep us humble. There's no one person that's got the whole puzzle yet, because then we can work together and come together and as a unified body, which I would say like the body of Christ, which that Christ consciousness is what I believe we're all working toward, and that God is paving the way for us to head. So I'm really excited about that, and I just really hope that that to kind of reiterate a point that Brett brought up earlier, that this project, while it being incredibly important, isn't as important as the growing unity and the revolutionary liberation and equalization of the courageous voices behind it. So I hope that we will just keep building together, that we'll keep standing against injustice and oppression together, that we'll keep fighting for truth and agape love together. I know, and I hope that all of you do too, even if you call it by a completely different name or don't know what to name it, that we have a loving and merciful God that's firmly on our side, that God truly does stand with all who are lost, broken, addicted, afflicted, oppressed, enslaved, suffering, disempowered, downtrodden. And I'm pretty sure that includes everybody, regardless of race, creed, color, sexual preference, or any other perceived dividing line. So knowing that, I'm confident that staying in a place of hope in the shared space of this unfolding movie doc journey, of our shared human journey, and in a God that wields truth and love to set people free, is a truly excellent place to be.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Great place to close. We will meet again as a global team in the first quarter. I will invite other team members from other locations, and if you are hearing this later from other parts of the world, please let it be known that you want to be a speaker. We'll invite some of you back as well, just to keep this going and share what the depth and breadth that we have on this team. So I'm wishing peace, blessings, simplicity, rest, kindness to surround each of you here and the visitors that were on our chat here. Thank you. I think we're good. We'll see you in 2024. All right. Thank you.